So when I started the program, I talked about the three questions: who am I? Where am I? What do I want? So I'd like to take everybody that's willing and wants to go through this exercise where you will have a definitive response when either you ask yourself, who am I? Or somebody else asks you, who are you? And usually when somebody is asked, who are you? They speak to aspects of themselves. Well, they talk about their career or their position in the family. I'm a father, I'm a provider. I like sports. They talk about aspects of who they are. And these are all correct. I'm not saying they're not correct. They are the aspects of who you are. I'm speaking to the who you are underneath the family of origin trauma. Who were you before this dysfunctional information infiltrated your subconscious full of information and then activated you to a response that I seem to not understand why I was doing what I was doing. So I did this exercise in 1992. And when I was going through this exercise, I didn't think I was any of those. And except maybe confident. So in the exercise, they had us pick 3 words. And then they had us say it. I am a 3 words, and then man or woman. And by listening to yourself, you see if that resonates with you. You may not believe it. Like for me, I am a gentle, loving, empowering whole man. And I picked gentle, and I just found myself not able to get off that. And people that knew me, that would probably be the last descriptor they would use to identify me. And somehow it just stuck. So trust something inside of you will pick the appropriate one. Pick 3 of the words off of that sheet of paper. And I'm going to ask you to, and with your mic off, because this is a whole group exercise, to say that to yourself. And the sentence is, and I'm going to be tedious about this. The sentence is, I am a, and then your 3 words, or I am an, if the first word begins with a vowel. Then say the 3 words, and then you're who you are, man or woman. Now, some people have an aversion to identifying either their masculine or their feminine. So the last word is up to you. I would suggest man, woman. If person sounds better to you, being sounds better to you, use what sounds good to you. So it would be, I am a gentle, loving, empowering whole man. I'm going to ask you to pick 3. I just said 4. I added that last word 10 years after I picked the first 3. You can pick 1 if you want, if that's what feels good to you. You can pick 2 if that's what it comes to, or you can pick 4. I want to offer that each individual in this workshop are all of those words inside you. And I want to offer that we use the term human condition to describe our weaknesses and frailnesses and our shortcomings and our character defects. Oh, I'm just human. I would like to see that statement as a statement of your magnificence. Oh, I'm human, and I am a gentle, loving, empowering whole man. That part of what I struggle against in my process of discovery is the language that permeates the society. The language is designed to disempower self and others. That's my experience of where I grew up in. So we're actually going to start changing the language And this is something I'm adamant about in my own life. You may choose to do that. Right now, it's something you can hold in the background, or you can hold on to to-do list, however you see. So I'd like everybody to simply pick 3 words off of this sheet of paper that identify you. If you cannot find 3, I'm going to suggest that out of those 3, pick the ones you believe are you, and then find the one that you read and your response is hell no. Pick that one. If you can't pick 3 off the bat, the ones that you have the most aversions to, I don't know, the ones you have are repelled by are the ones that are held hidden deepest in you. For me, it was gentle. It didn't make sense, and I couldn't let go of it. Because there was nothing gentle in my perception of me about it. Loving seemed to be, everybody wants to be loving. And then I actually picked wise, and the facilitator at the time didn't feel the resonance of the statement, I am a gentle, loving, wise man, and asked me to look again. And in my frustration, I just saw empowering, and I said it. She goes, that's it. And I didn't even know the meaning of that word. I didn't understand the meaning of that word. And I want to tell you that I am a gentle, loving, empowering whole man. It will, like I said in the beginning of this, is that this realization, this inspiration, this awareness, this epiphanies will blindside you. Focus on what you want. Use some of the material from this book. Use absolutely the material from ACA. And it's like a buoy that's tethered too short and it's underneath the water. And the chain breaks and and it just pops up and there's this whole new vista. I was working with a mystic kind of guy. He said, I want you to do this and don't have any expectations. Oh yeah, okay, I get that. So I'm gonna ask you the same thing. If you would be willing to pick 3 words, put them in the sentence, write it down, because this mechanism inside of us that wants to hold on to the old information will summarily forget what the words were. And I've had the experience of somebody picking 3 words. 5 seconds later, I said, what did you say? And they have to search again for me. So write it down, put it in your phone where you can access it. I am a gentle, loving, empowering whole man. So go ahead and pick 3 words off that paper. Take your time.
John, I want to tell you that we've got people spontaneously putting their 3 words into the chat.
Oh, cool. Very good. Very good. Very good. Thank you, guys. I'm just going to give it another little bit. Yeah, I can see the chats come up. The thing drops down and the number goes up. Cool. Very good. Okay. Just a little bit more time. And if you come up with 4, use them. And I'm going to ask you, people who ask questions, one of the questions I'm going to ask you is, who are you? And if you're willing, and anytime I make a request, you have 3 options. You can say, yes, go ahead and do it. Or you could say, I don't want to do that, and we move on. Or you could say, give me a minute. Anytime I ask you a question, those 3 options are open. If you don't feel safe with any of these, specifically the no, let me know how you're hearing me ask the question, or what do you see in me that creates this fear of you simply going, I don't want to answer that. Because in this new style of communication I've been learning, I've recognized that I used to use questions inside a conversation to gameplay, manipulate people, and questions are actually good tools of manipulation. A question is actually a request for information. If I'm asking you information that's personal to you and you don't want to give it, no is an appropriate response. If I'm asking you a question and the information I'm asking you for isn't personal and you don't want to give it, no is an appropriate response. I used to couch all my questions in a way where I wanted you to say yes. That was my form of control and manipulation. Now that I've learned this new style of communication, I understand that if I ask you a question, you get to say, I don't answer that question. And we move on. I don't use questions inside a conversation to gameplay and manipulate. And when I do, like I say, I never do. And I find myself doing it. I take a breath and become accountable for that, for whatever the manipulation was, or the test. I'm testing somebody to see if they're trustworthy. All kinds of things were in that question, other than the question. I wasn't really interested in what you had to say. I was interested in how to manipulate and control you. Okay. So pick the 3 words, and if you're willing, just say to yourself, I am a powerful, grateful, passionate man. Or I am a peaceful, open, beautiful woman. Whatever feels good to you. Or, like I said, or not. And then write those words down. So you're walking down the street and somebody comes up to you and says, who the hell do you think you are? And you say, I am a blank, blank, blank. So you got the answer to the first question, who am I? I would like you to consider keeping that. Whatever the 3 words you came up with, you can add to it. Keeping that. There's a meaning in your selection to you, your unique wounding, your unique gift to your community. It's in there. You being you is your gift to your community. You being you and thinking what you do is the value, is the problem. So I recognize this value, and I find myself doing this. The meaning isn't this, it's in expressing this, me, who I am. Thank you, guys. I'm going to revert back to full screen. You guys have a copy or can get a copy of that list. If you weren't complete, please revisit it and do it when you can. This one exercise, like I said in 1992, has been like an anchor in my process of discovery. I used to call it recovery, but recovery has a stigma like there's something wrong. There's nothing wrong. It hurts. It's painful. And I'm working perfectly, and I'm going to decide what that action is from here by focusing on this part, this who I am, and seeing that any avoidant behavior that I used to do, coercive or violent behavior, is simply in alignment with this information. Owning the outcome, the result, owning it, feeling it, saying what I want is different. Okay. Now the question is just.
Okay, thank you for taking my question. When you were talking about projection, you said that what we see in another person is 100% us. So I struggle with other people's comments about me. And a man said something to me 8 months ago, and I'm still upset about it.
Okay.
So I can flip that around and say that that man's comment is 100% what he sees in himself then. And I need to take absolutely no offense to these comments that people make about me, which is helpful to me. Could you explain this a little bit further?
I'm not asking you not to be impacted by other people's opinions. That's not the point of owning your projection. If somebody is saying something about you, projecting onto you, I'm not saying I'm going to give you the capacity to be unaffected by that. When somebody has a strong opinion of me, I have a feeling about that. What I'm able to do is not react. Know that what they're saying about me is absolutely true about them, and I am going to look for the kernel of truth in what they're saying about me. If what they're saying about me is subconscious and true, whatever element, whatever amount of that is true, my body will respond. So I'm not asking you not to feel or be unaffected by what people say, is to feel it and then look for the kernel of truth. And then take that to your accountability. That person said that I'm a gossip. I never gossip. And then you go, well, wait a minute. Why am I so adamant about I'm not that? So take a breath. Okay, let's see what part of that is true, if anything. Oh, whoa, oh, is that like gossip? And then you go, oh shit, I do have that trait. It is my intent to see all people as equal. It is my intent to be empowering in my speech. It is my intent, whatever you come up with. So an example of this, before my recovery, if anybody lied to me or called me a liar, shit was on. Screw you. No. And it would turn into emotional, verbal, and sometimes physical violence. So in this process, I that's the last thing I wanted to be called, is a liar. And you know what? I'm a good liar. I lied really, really well. And as a child, I lied a lot for fear of punishment, but it didn't matter. And as soon as I owned, I'm a liar, I just did the process. I'm a liar. And it's my intent to live honestly. It's my intent to be honest. It's my intent to have the courage to tell the truth. Now, if somebody comes up and says, John, you're a liar, I go, yeah, I know. I'm working on that. So, I mean, I'm not pulled out. I'm not like in this high intensity, you can't say that, I'm going, well, yeah, I'm working on that. I realize that. Or I'm not apathetic or screw you, I'm never talking to you again, just move away, withhold. So I can deal with, I'm a liar. Anything that I have an aversion to, anything that I get a lot of energy about somebody saying to me, that's mine. I'll own that. Because this response is the realization internally, subconsciously, that there's a kernel of truth in there. So, am I impacted when somebody like in a group says, John, you're a liar? Yeah. I feel that energetic hit. And I take a breath and go, yeah, I know I'm looking at that. And that diffuses. I used to be in a group of men in jail. And I would take them through this process where each one of them got up in front of the room. And then the rest of the group said whatever they could think of that's derogatory about that person, like wannabe, punk, liar, thief, bad dad, loser, washed up. And then the men standing in front of the room would feel the hit on the ones they were holding energy on themselves. The ones that they worked through, like you're a thief. And the guy knew he wasn't a thief, and he was clear about that. He just went through it, okay, yeah, thank you for sharing. And the ones we hold on ourselves resonate. When I find myself being defensive, I'm participating in my own oppression. And that oppression is stuffing my feeling body, stuffing that trauma one more time. That's a rule of thumb I have. Whenever I find myself being defensive, I'm participating in my own. So, how was that? I think we can move on to the next question, unless.
So I really relate to the repetitive nature of the dysfunction, and looking at the accountability tree. I can take stock of my behaviors, sometimes even while I'm in the midst of them, but the emotion or the physical reaction can be so overwhelming. I get a lot of excitement. It's in my arms, it's in my chest, it's in my gut, that it's hard to find any truth behind it. So are there ways to get to that truth despite that overwhelming feeling of anxiety?
Okay. So Philip, the reticular activating system is another way to say that is 5-5 freeze. So as a man, for me, if anybody in my mind disrespected my authority as man, and that's where we're trained in our society, it's God, man, woman. We didn't make the list. God made the list. God, man, woman. That mindset gave me an expectation of authority or the right to defend myself and punish other people. So when whatever somebody said to me affected the trauma that I wanted to hide, this mechanism would pump adrenaline through my body. Adrenaline is for one's life-threatening situation. This mechanism doesn't know the difference between a saber-toothed tiger and coming home and having your kids noisy. This mechanism doesn't know the difference. If I'm believing that I'm the man of the house, that's the image I created for me, man of the house, and I'm playing that role based on the trauma that I received, my best defense, my best perception of who I am in relationship to people. And the toasted thing, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? And your hands will actually go up. That's a sign that you're getting ready to fight, flight, or freeze. So right now, based on a belief you have, subconscious, you're not even aware of it, somebody confronted your value. You know, I talked about our value is in what we do. Somebody criticized what I did. Fear of authority figures, fear of see criticism as a threat. That's succinct. The criticism is a threat to our well-being. This is a subjective mechanism. If it says my value is in performing and you criticize the performing, this mechanism pumps adrenaline through my body, and adrenaline's purpose is to disengage you from your emotions, from your rational mind, and from the situation. So you find yourself in this screaming, me place and wonder what the hell's going on. Now, I use the example of the toasted burn. That's in when I was a young man, please do my toast right. And then I had this standard of butter, how, and if that wasn't the way, instead of saying, if the toast is burnt, instead of saying, oh, is there something wrong with the toaster? Is it, do you want to go out to eat? How you doing? Are you feeling okay? What's going on? It was, what the hell are you doing burning your toes? And I didn't even know this was going on. And I felt that. I know what you mean by the arms and the chest and the rapid heartbeat. So the goal is knowing when that happens, that you're in DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy. They talk about three things: you, sense of self, the context which you're in, and the other person. When you have adrenaline running through your body based on misinformation that you have assigned to you subconsciously, you lose yourself. Who am I? I'm a general loving inspiring home man. That's out the door. You lose the situation. I'm at home with a person that loves me. And you lose the other person. This 5'5" brown-eyed beauty turns into some kind of monster. And I'm in this attack mode, defense mode, and I'm not even, I'm completely out of reality. And that is in alignment with the misinformation. If I blame myself, what a dumbass, this locks down. This mechanism locks down. If my way out was, holy cow, I'm a violent man, I use emotional and verbal violence, and the only thing's wrong, the toast is burned. And I go to yelling, screaming, threatening. Okay, I'm a violent man. It is my intent to be a nonviolent man. And then the practice, just noticing when it happens. This is past experience. This is something from an image I created of me based on the best information I have. I am a general loving inspiring home man. Who are you, Philip?
I'm sorry.
What three words did you use to designate yourself?
I said I am a willing, open, and courageous man.
So in that moment, whatever it is, simply take a breath. I used to do this with hardened criminals. Say, I'm not going to die. I'm serious, the day is long. This motion, I'm not going to die, hearing yourself say that, stops the adrenaline. Because it's afraid you're going to die. It's afraid you're going to be devalued and go away, and your value would be worthless in this mechanism. I'm not going to die. I'm a general inspiring home man. What do I want? And it's going to look awkward. It's going to, I would, whoever you're with right now, I would preload this information. So, I found out this thing about why I do what I'm doing, and this is what I'm going to do. So when you see me doing it, you're not like, what happened to him? He's acting weird. And people in the hardened criminals, tattoos from their hairline to their chin, when you stand up and go, I'm not going to die. It's effective. And right now, based on the time limit, that's the best I can give you right now. So.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Jessica. Hi, I'm Maggie. I kind of jumped in an hour after because I was on a step meeting. So I haven't gotten everything, but I've been trying to kind of follow. And I'm able to look at the words and stuff, but something that's really, really come up for me, and I know it's been throughout my life, but now with doing my 12-step, doing the Yellow Book work study for the first time, is this overwhelming fear and sense of not just inadequacy, but not feeling smart enough or capable, mostly smart enough to be able to do this work in order to actually be a part of a transformation, to have the work affect me. And it goes back to my childhood of hearing my father calling me a dumb blondie and a little dummy. And it's I get this panicked feeling like I need to have someone with me to rely on, someone with me to kind of seek out, that guidance, because I'm not able to figure things out or be smart enough or capable enough. And so I'm trying to follow your accountability tree in doing that. So like if somebody says to me, I don't know, it's just kind of not that somebody's gonna say you're not smart enough. It's like, I don't know. I guess I don't know how to put it. I'm having a hard time just trying to understand the accountability tree. Is I'll have that feeling come up so intensely, like with doing this yellow workbook study. It's always in comparison to everyone else that I'm not as capable.
Okay. You missed an hour's worth of the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you don't have the full information.
Okay.
It's what I want to tell you is you're in the process of self-discovery. Right now, where you're at is difficult, confusing. The word I would use is frenetic, and that's a place of transformation. Did you, when you did the second half of the program, did you pick 3 words?
Yes.
Who are you? I am a
confident, genuine, and honest woman.
So right now, just fall back on that. Just hear yourself say that for now. And the accountability process will come to you. This is, I don't know what meeting you're at, but hopefully some other people in the meeting went to this and you can work with them. This is not something we do in the meeting, because in the meeting is about experience, strength, and hope, with no feedback and listening. I sent the material so you can go through the material that was at the beginning and come to a different understanding of where you're at now. And I would just say, be nice to yourself. And, how do you feel about that response?
That's hard. That's really hard. The whole being nice to myself, and the confidence thing is just, yeah.
What was your name?
Maggie.
Maggie. I want you to know that I see you and I'm hearing your thing.
Thank you.
All right. John, thank you so much for the time and the time you're taking for us today. I am a courageous, grateful, and honest man. And this is a situation where a 5-foot blue-eyed beauty has turned into a monster. I have been traumatized greatly by my wife. And she is refusing to enter into conversations with me about her behavior because she has been told by her counselor that that will just perpetuate my traumatizing behavior and my feeling of being a victim. How will I achieve acceptance, healing, and trauma resolution without the help, without the conversation from my wife?
John, you will learn to give it to yourself.
I understand that I am finally the one responsible for my recovery.
And in the meantime, John, it's going to hurt. It's going to be confusing. It's going to be frenetic. It's going to be difficult. You're going to be confused. You're going to be resentful, bitter, and contemptuous. And throughout this process, you will come to some place that you do not know exists right now. And if you're willing to trust the process and know that it's, in your experience, not instantaneous, and take yourself to the next meeting, call your sponsor. Figure out where you're at in the step process and address the steps. And again, John, I want you to know that I'm hearing your pain. This is painful. And I want to offer this pain that you're facing is why most people choose not to do this process. And it speaks to your tenacity and courage. Anything else you want to say?
No, thank you very much.
Hi, thanks, Jessica, and thanks, John, and everyone on the workshop today. I've gotten a lot out of what you've shared, John. I really appreciate it. I have seen so many connections with what you're saying to why working our ACA program works, why I find healing through the steps and through the tools that we learn in our 12-step way of life. I work 2 programs, and I can see how I've never quite seen this laid out like this, but I can see how it's all connected. One thing I wanted to ask you was, okay, first of all, I want to say, I really heard feeling, like feel, just be willing to feel. I'm really hearing that. I'm also wondering, like, what do you see as what are some examples of situations or whatever that would be good reasons to say pick up going through the accountability tree as a tool? Like if I'm feeling triggered by something my husband said, for instance, I'm just wondering, what are good examples of everyday things?
If you have a strong feeling about somebody else, a judgment or a blame, that's the time. Whatever you hear yourself saying about that person. Now, don't get me wrong, what you're saying about that person may be true about that person. Your energy around the transmittance of that judgment shows you the depth that this is hidden from you and the pain that it has.
Could I bring a specific example to bear and see what you think? I have a 19-year-old son. He'll almost be 20. And I love him dearly. And he's having to grow up, and he's growing up in his way. He's being who he is. And I've come to, we're in a much better place than we might have been a few years ago, as far as just getting along. But sometimes I do have these judgments or reactions to him or choices he's making.
Okay.
Yeah, is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, name him. What is it? He's a
okay. Well, he's okay. I have judgments. He spends his money too fast. He's not saving enough. He's not going to be okay.
No, whoa. What is that? If he spends his money too fast, what does that make him? Incompetent? Frivolous?
That makes him someone who's not going to be able to survive on his own, which he says he's going to be doing in a few months.
I want you to define the critical word you use.
Define the judgment. Oh, he is a spendthrift. I guess I'm labeling him Like he's not going to be able to be independent like he plans to be.
Not going to be able to is the story you're adding to this.
Okay.
So the judgment, so to take to the accountability tree, define the judgment. He's a irresponsible spendthrift.
Yeah, that's it.
That work for you?
Yeah.
Okay. So you come here, your truth is, I am an irresponsible spendthrift. Then take a breath.
Well, I had some feelings about that.
I'll bet you do. Take the breath.
I would never be an irresponsible spendthrift is how I feel. Like I don't dare be an irresponsible spendthrift. I have to support myself. I can't rely on anybody else. I have to, if I am an irresponsible spendthrift, then I can't be a functioning adult. And I don't have anyone else to rely on. I don't know, I just felt really emotional. Like I went right back to my childhood, kind of.
So something, tell me your name again.
It's Ellen.
Ellen, something in your childhood, you got the information, you got the imprint that money is tied to your survival vital value. And it's stuck in there in a rigid, demanding of you way, which stops your authentic self from coming out. So there's another word that we're going to find that it could be I'm rigid about money. I'm compulsive about saving money. I'm compulsive about where money goes. I'm compulsive. How does any of that fit for you?
The feeling of like, well, what you said, like compulsive about watching where my money goes. I feel kind of like that.
Okay, so you think to the accountability tree, your truth is, I'm compulsive about money.
I'm compulsive about money. I'm always wanting it to be enough.
We want to make this as short as possible.
Okay.
Because what we do is we'll say the truth and then tell our story about it. And this is really important. I'm glad you're asking this question, because if I would have said I'm mean and that's because da 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 da, and I got into a story, I lose the availability of the feeling.
Okay, stick with the feeling.
I'm compulsive about money. Period. Take a breath.
I'm compulsive about money. Period.
So based on that awareness, what do you want?
I want to be less judgmental, less uptight, a little more free.
Well, okay. The word free. The word knows how to manifest the meaning of that word. So when you say, I don't want to be, the universe hears whatever you say after that and says, yes, I don't want to be judgmental. Yes, judgmental is right there in your face for eternity. When you say, it is my intent to be free, that word knows how to manifest itself. You don't have to help it. So if you're open to it, if you would be willing to say, it is my intent to be free.
It is my intent to be free.
Now, when you say that word, because this accountability process is specifically pinpointed a trauma based on your projection to your son, you discovered that it was actually the opposite of that. That's what you're holding on to for yourself, not him. He's going to be fine. And when you go, I'm compulsive about money, that's restrictive. That's creates resentment, bitterness, contempt. That does everything you now experience in your life and your judgment about the people in your life, and he's not the only one. So it is my intent to be free as your picture, your experience fused with that, specifically for you. This is amazes me about this exercise. It is, anybody can use it. It's not generic. In fact, it's specific to the person's energy frequency, emotional trauma frequency. So when you say it is my intent to be free, there's this constellation of opportunities for you specifically around the issue of compulsion. This happens to be about money. Is my intent to be free. Now, what you do now is simply pay attention the next time you look at your son. And notice, just simply be willing to notice the difference. Maybe the edge is off. Maybe another thought comes in. Maybe it's like goes away. I don't know. And then based on what you see, that different, that point of reference that you had compulsive about money, is my intent to be free, expanded the point of reference. Now you're simply going to perceive different. You're going to project different. You're going to judge differently. Then you simply do it again. Do it again. Do it again.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Lisa. I'm a compassionate, courageous, spiritual woman. And wow, this is hitting pretty close to home. I, for 30 years, have been married to a man that that mirrors the experience of my childhood of being unemotionally available in our relationship. And for the last 5 years, I've been working recovery, and I've been on this quest to understand, do I stay? Do I leave? Do I stay? Do I leave? And so I was thinking a lot when you were talking about fight, flight, freeze. But this accountability exercise is scaring me a little bit, because even as I say he is unemotionally available, what I think I might be hearing you say, and I'd love clarity or affirmation on this, is it possible, as I reflect back, do I need to ask myself, am I emotionally available in this relationship? Am I understanding that correctly? And
Yes, you are.
And so I guess I kind of wonder, does it become less for me the question about do I stay or go, and more about how do I show up being emotionally available, period?
Nothing. None of those.
Okay.
That's
Please help me understand.
okay. So your projection is he's emotionally unavailable. If we follow the guidelines, your energy around him being emotionally unavailable speaks to you directly. If he's emotionally unavailable and you are, my husband's emotionally unavailable and my life is where I want it to be and I'm cool, then no problem. No problem. When it's, holy shit, do I leave? There's an energy there and he's emotionally unavailable. So if you own that and just trust the process, placate the old guy, see what happens. If this doesn't work, you can go back to like figuring it out. So if you go to that accountability tree and you say, my truth, as unreasonable as it sounds, your body will tell you how much truth there is. And you simply wait for that to happen. Would you be willing to try that?
Yeah.
Okay. Take a breath before we do this. Take a deep breath. Your statement is, I am emotionally unavailable. And take another breath.
I'm emotionally unavailable.
So based on that statement, Lisa, what do you want?
I intend to be emotionally available for me.
Yeah. It could sound like it is my intent to be emotionally expressive. It is my intent to feel all of my emotions. It is my intent to. This is coming up for me, and you see if it fits where you're at. It is my intent to feel my pain.
Yeah.
How did that feel? And which one are you?
Yes. It's my intention to feel my pain.
Okay.
Really, I think hits home, pretty close to home.
So in the four constants of relationship, the third one is move towards that. And the pain I'm talking about, Lisa, isn't from your current reality.
Yeah.
It's from the pain that you received as a child and had no recourse. When that admonishment, move towards my pain, is not the pain that was created through the dysfunction or the results of the dysfunction. Move towards my pain is moving towards the original pain, and that's deep.
Okay.
So in owning you're emotionally unavailable, you got that it was to you. That was your statement. And then you got with my assistance, and you'll become proficient at finding this for yourself because it will resonate with you. At first, sometimes guidance and people's offerings or feedback help, and you're the one that you pinpointed a specific trauma. I want to say non-detailed, non-scripted, that is lodged in your body. And if you, as children, we don't have the recourse to process our emotions based on the capacity of our guides, our parents. So we, this family trauma gets passed on generation to generation to generation. So, and here's the good news. You do not have to know the specifics of that pain. Feeling the pain is the relieving of the pain. So as a 3-year-old, you were dismissed, ignored, diminished, and that was painful. You are now, as an adult, holding that part of you, that 3-year-old, in an embrace and simply feeling with her that trauma, which is the relieving and the healing. You can have the details. You don't need them. There were times in my recovery where I found myself sobbing, and I didn't know why. And I knew enough to allow. Just sob. And know that I didn't have to know why, that the feeling itself was being reframed, healed in that moment of experiencing the family of origin pain. So this own your projections is sometimes a direct route or a route that may be indirect, and it will lead you to your held trauma.
Wow, this was a divine appointment today. Thank you so much.
Hi, Alex, adult child here. Thank you for the workshop. Thank you, John, and thank you, everybody. I'm not quite sure how to even ask my question, and it only just came to me a minute ago. I couldn't pick any word, and so I ended up picking what I thought were 3 or 4 words or 3 words, and then I changed my mind and I went to another one and another one and another one. And what's my question? Is it okay to just refer to that list again and again and choose different words? Because I've never had a voice in my life, and I even don't, I just have no clarity. And I know you talked earlier about it not being, I don't need to understand, you're just trying to teach us something, but from a feeling, and I understand, I get that bit, but I'm not sure whether I've chosen the right words for my statement. So I doubt that about myself. Can you give me any sort of clarity or help on that? Or if it's not a relevant question, then, thank you.
Very relevant. Would you be willing to accept some assistance with this process?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Give me one word that you're waffling about.
I'm not sure I understand your question. You mean
what word you're thinking you chose it and then you decided not to? What's one of the words you chose off of that sheet to consider? You just considered it. You didn't choose it. You just considering it. What's one of the words?
Gentle.
Okay. Here's what I'll offer you. Courageous, powerful, passionate woman.
All of those.
Okay. So write them down, please, if you would. You could tell me no, you don't want to write them down. You could say, I am a courageous, powerful,
I am a courageous, powerful,
passionate woman.
passionate woman.
Yes, you are. Okay. Take a deep breath. Just be open whatever's going on.
I don't like the word powerful because of my, I think, using it wrongly against others in my character defects.
The powerful speaks to your capacity for compassion.
Yes,
Great.
yes.
Yes. Get it?
No. No.
Is it Lisa?
Alex.
Alex. Would you be willing to hear something I want to say to you?
Yeah.
You deserve that designation.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Whew, shot right down.
Is there anything else you need, Alex?
No, thank you.
So welcome.
Thank you. That was really helpful.
I think Jessica will take one more question. I know it's like cutting it off, and I know people have a lot of questions. I have another exercise that I'd like to do, and it takes a minute to set up. So,
thank you. I want to thank you all for this, John. This has been absolutely amazing. And I've been following along with the exercises as you've been going through with folks, and trying to get in touch with my own feelings. And I'm curious to know if you've ever heard about an experience that I'm having. So what's happening is I'm not feeling anything in my body, but I'm getting these visuals, like a visual of like something hitting me in my torso, and I don't know if those are the feelings because my body sensation is not there, but there's these visuals coming up. Is there anything you can enlighten me about that, or have you ever heard about that before, or any suggestions on how I might be able to shift that?
Tell me your name again.
Lisa.
There's a saying in 12-step, and I believe it's absolutely true, that we are given only what we can handle. Okay, so right now, that's your experience.
Yeah, that brought a reaction for me.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you're able to be with that. So I'm going to honor that. I'm going to honor that's where you're at. And what I'd like to offer you is there are two kinds of therapists. One is Peter Levine's somatic experience therapists who know how to gently take people through this process. And it's a body memory. I know I talked about the reticular activating system, brainstem, and all your nerves go through that brainstem. So your body has memory, and it goes through this mechanism, and is filtered through. Right now, the filter is saying, leave it alone. I'm cool. So we're going to honor that. So that if you look into the side of the 12-step meeting, some type of somatic therapy, and the one I'm familiar with is somatic experience, and it's a Peter Levine modality, and there's therapists trained throughout the country that work with people on identifying where this is stuck in your body and helping you move through it at an incremental, what you can handle pace. The other modality, which I've used and is very powerful for me, is EMDR.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm competent, get a good referral to somebody who does EMDR, or even the DMT, dialectical therapy, is a good modality because I know how they work is they set up safety for you first. They make sure you have a container of safety before they start digging into anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Peter Levine keeps coming up for me, so I think, yeah, I got to check it out.
Which one? Okay, I'm good.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. So I have an exercise I do, and I call it Love Equals. And this exercise goes to the core of this subconscious. It identifies the picture in my mind is the core reactor, the core, that hot spot. And I've done it before with whole groups of people. I don't know how many people are on today. And I'd like to explain the process and then take everybody through it in a way that you answer the questions to yourself, and I'll guide as best I can. And then you're going to come up with what this mechanism has gotten mixed up as love. It's like family of origin issues. We recreate that feeling tone. And if you boil it down to everything's love, then there's a equivalent that for you to feel love necessarily means I want to offer, like with somebody that is emotionally unavailable. To feel love, you need to be the one paying attention to the money. If you need to be loved, there's a need in there, in a correlation between what you consider you and your relationship to the four constants of relationship. Because everything we do is in relationship to. There's nothing that I do that isn't in relationship to something. For me to recognize me, I have to see something different. So this whole dysfunctional accumulation of information happened in the presence of people. And what I found out necessarily is that my healing comes in the presence of people. I discovered this connection between what I had love mixed up with based on where I found myself in my relational life, time after time after time. So it's 3 questions. Let me tell you a story of how it happened. I was arguing with my wife. We were separated, going through a divorce. And we were in one of those kind of arguments that spit was coming out of both our mouths. It's like, it was just a yell fest. And I was at my apartment, and she was standing out in the courtyard in front. And I was on my porch, and we were yelling at each other. And in this argument, she said to me, "You want me to call you crazy?" And of course, my response was, "That's crazy. I don't want you to call me crazy." We argued some more, and then she just blurted it out. "Okay, John, here it is. You're crazy." And a little voice in my head said, "See, told you." I got it. I don't know how. I don't know why. It was like, I did. I saw how I was posturing, so she would eventually call me crazy. So she left, and I got bad at God. I was 9 years sober. I said, "Screw you and your recovery. Bullshit. Maybe next lifetime. If you don't give me the answer to this one, I'm fucking out of here." I was living behind a strip mall, and one of the businesses in the strip mall was Stockman's Club. Screw it, I'm gonna go have a beer. So I had enough wherewithal to simply go and lay down, meditate, get quiet. And in this meditative place, where my invisible means of support are, I had this thought, well, I'll forgive her. That's what the 12 steps say, forgive. And so I said, okay, I'm here to forgive my ex-wife. And then everybody in my invisible means of support, all the entities, angels, they actually started laughing. I could hear them laughing. And then I got mad again. It's like, oh, I'm doing what you tell me to do, and you think it's damn funny. And then the thought, the realization, she didn't do anything to you, you didn't ask her to do it. And I got that. I got that I asked her to call me crazy. I don't understand why, but I got that. And then the realization, John, you have love mixed up with rejection. And my whole life made sense. She made sense. Every other woman I was with made sense. Every job I took made sense. My whole life made sense. And in that moment and that's the ultimate accountability, that in that feeling place, I heard, what do you want it to be? And what I heard out of my mind was acceptance. So I said to myself, to me now, love equals acceptance. And there was a wash through my body. And it's like everything changed. It was stark. I walked out of my apartment in a breezeway between a coffee shop and our business. And there was this half barrel wine thing full of planter with flowers with like canopies over the top, and there were little flowers all around the canopy. And I looked at it, and it was red, kind of yellow, vibrant. I could see the texture in the petals. It was like, holy shit, who put that there? And then I thought, oh. I was seeing that through the filter of rejection. I didn't really see it. Now I was looking at it, and it was so stark that I actually looked around to see who was messing with me, who put that there. Who's messing? And it was like, so what I'd like to do is take the whole group. Now, you can choose not to do this. This is not a got you have to. I'm going to walk through I'm going to ask you 3 questions. First question is current reality. Where do you find yourself? Relationally, where do you find yourself career-wise, financially, and in your recovery? Just wherever you find yourself, the things you are struggling with in your current reality. And we're just going to name them. No blame, no judgment, just name them. And then I'm going to ask you 2 questions about, one about your mother and one about your father. And then as I go through those questions, because I won't have you here to respond to me, so I'll go through what I know could be your response. Hopefully I speak to that. And when I'm done, and I'm going to be directive about this. I'm going to say something that you stay in the awareness of what happened instead of the story about what happened. It's very important. And I'll guide you through this. There's no wrong way to do this. There's no, whatever happens is going to be appropriate for you and where you're at. Usually this is where I ask if anybody's got any questions. And
would you like people to raise their hands at this point, John, to do this?
Let's take 2, and I think 2 would be enough to speak to the group of questions that might be coming up. Yeah, 2 people with questions, short questions. And it's okay if there's not.
It's the opposite of Jeopardy. Nobody's reaching for the buzzers.
Okay, that's fine. No, that's good.
No, we got him now. We got him now.
So anybody that wants to do it, keep your audio and video on. If you want to skip it, that's cool. Okay.
And hi, this is Ellen John. We're just to ask a simple question based on what you've already just shared, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The question I have is, when you had that revelation, you worded it a certain way. I didn't hear it exactly. It wasn't fully clear. And it was like love equals. I wasn't sure I got exactly the phrase that when you had that realization, how you phrased it.
And I'll take you through that when I get to that part. And I had love related to rejection. So I'm using the term love equals rejection because that's what the subconscious pool of information has made that association. So to this subconscious pool of trauma and information and my perception of myself in it, there had to be an element of rejection for me to feel connected at all. That simply was in alignment with the subconscious pool of information. The word equal has a resonance to it and a power. That's why I use that word. Love equals rejection. That's a succinct statement. Creates a vibration in my body, an awareness, a feeling, an emotion. And then I'm gonna have you change it to the new what you want that's different than what you find. And it will be love equals acceptance, love equals compassion, love equals forgiving, love equals, or maybe two words. And then that love equals acceptance fuses with the rejection thing, shifts it, reframes it, and then sets it back down into your subconscious pool of information. And it's okay that you don't understand it fully right now. As we go through it, you will see how it goes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, hi, John. Hi, everyone. Lovely to see you. Yeah. So the question is connected to the this exercise, or you want me to bring an example?
Right now, just this exercise. So
Sorry.
just the exercise.
So are you going to do this with everyone?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So again, follow along the best you can. You don't have to understand it. Your emotional feeling body knows how to accumulate information, unbeknownst to you. So I'm going to ask you to trust this process. So the first question, what's your current reality? How's your relationships? And be as honest, worst day case scenario. I'm feeling rejected. I'm feeling abused. I'm mean. It's going down the toilet. I struggle with even having simple conversation. Whatever it is in your current situation, it could be alone. Alone, no, none. Career, are you satisfied? Is it what you want to do? Is it stressful? Do you have a lot of coworkers who are a big pain in the ass? You struggle just going to work, or is that okay in your life? Is that part of your life okay? You feel like it's a fit. We're just looking for current reality. In your finances, are you okay with your finances? Do you struggle with saving money? Do you struggle with spending money? Do you struggle with having money? To what degree do you spend time worrying about money? In your friendships, do you have friendships? Are they a struggle? Are they coffee clutch gossip thing, or are they you use your friendships to stay small? Just where you're at in your current reality. And I'll give you a minute to digest that. And just go over it. I could, I want to say perusal. The perusal actually is a high intensity examination of those places in your life currently. In recovery. what stage of recovery. So I'm gonna go on to the second question. And the second question is, what was your relationship with your mother between the ages of 3 and 7? A lot of people will come back with, I remember. And that's okay. Just ask yourself the question, what was my relationship with my mother between the ages of 3 and 7? Your body knows how to look for that specific information. Most of the trauma we have is pre-verbal or non-verbal. Doesn't have a way to describe it. Just feel. How did she relate to me? Was I a latchkey kid? Was I expected to perform? Was my value attached to my report card? What was her, how did she speak to me? And if nothing comes up between those years, ask yourself, what was my relationship with my mother between the ages of 7 and 13? And then dig into how she related to you, her discipline pattern, her capacity to nurture or not, her own issues that were evident. Maybe you became the parent. And just go over that. And then what was your relation, and that the last question, what was your relationship with your father between the ages of 3 and 7? Could be that he was absent. Could be you don't know who he is. There's still an energetic pattern from the word father. Could be he was absent. Could be he was there, but he was always at work. Could be he's a disciplinarian. Could be he was the one I went to for comfort. He's the one that saw me. And then there's a comparison between you and him and your mother. How did he relate to me? What were the energetic messages, not so much the verbal messages when he was around? Did I walk on eggshells? Did I become happy and elated? Okay. Now, I'm going to start saying love equals, and I'll say a word or a phrase after that. And you're simply listening and listening for that feeling in your body. Could be in your chest, could be in your stomach. And I'm going to say one that matches this frequency. And it doesn't necessarily have to make sense to you. It will when you feel, it'll make sense of what your perception got close relationship mixed up with, what happens in a close relationship, in a love relationship. And it's all subconscious. So we're looking for something that wasn't in your awareness, and it's a feeling tone. Take a nice deep breath. Okay. Now I'm going to say a litany of words. You simply listen as I go through these. Love equals lie. Love equals performance. Love equals fake. Love equals rejection. Love equals you're not good at, there's something wrong with me. Love equals I just don't measure up. Love equals pain. Love equals abandonment. Love equals walking on eggshells, fear. Love equals desperation. like this frenetic love equals ah. Love equals condition. Love equals second rate. Love equals not worthy. Love equals worthless piece of shit. Love equals irredeemable. Love equals terrifying. So, and if you thought of one or one came to you in that process, identify it. That's what you had love mixed up with. I'm going to give you just a short period of time, and it's okay if this doesn't work. There's time to revisit this. So I want in this awareness, whatever hit you, pick a word and change it, and go to me now. Love equals acceptance. Love equals freedom. Love equals forgiveness. Love equals self-love. Love equals holding myself in regard. Love equals holding myself in esteem. Love equals passion. Love equals freedom of expression. Love equals power, confidence. Love equals graciousness. Love equals gratitude. And then or pick your own word. And then to yourself or out loud, your mic's on mute. The sentence is, to me, love now equals, and then say your word. To me, love now equals acceptance. And just take a breath. Love equals innocence. Love equals dignity. Love equals integrity. Love equals freedom. Love equals compassionate, kind and caring. Love equals kind and caring, nurturing. Love equals nurturing. Love equals freedom. I said that a couple of times. So I would like to now just short shares. Open your mic. Jessica's got the list. Open your mic. Tell me what you have changed it to. And if you'd be open to, you don't have to. The sentence is to me. You actually use the words. You're speaking to yourself. To me now, love equals acceptance or love equals freedom. Who would like to share?
Sure. I don't know if we do our before one. Anyways, because the big one was this not feeling safe. Love equals not feeling safe, and love equals not measuring up. And so now for me, to me, love now equals being safe, feeling safe.
Okay. All right. Who else would like to share?
Love equals devotion and commitment.
I couldn't figure out how to raise my hand, but when you asked what is your reality, I'm feeling rejected and alone, and so because I just went through a divorce that I didn't want, and then this COVID thing is going on, and so I'm by myself and rejected. My husband doesn't want me, and so then I guess to me, love now equals acceptance.
Wow, good for you.
Well, before love equaled my mom not helping me and somebody else swooping in to rescue me. And now love equals unconditional love.
There you go.
Sylvie?
Yes. It was before love equals pain, and love to me now is love means love, lightness, joy, and life. Thank you, John.
Hi, I'm Tina. Thank you everyone for being here. I had so many words that came up, and this is really powerful and helpful. Thank you. Because I had love equaled before, like not deserving, fear, shame, abuse, neglect, rejection. And to me now, love equals connection, integrity, freedom, being valued, feeling like I belong. Thank you.
Yeah. To me, love in the past meant both of my parents becoming emotionally unavailable, going away. Today, love for me is acceptance of the risk necessary to encourage spiritual growth in oneself or for another.
John, can we make that one word?
One word?
Yeah, I want to offer you a word.
Okay.
Actually, it's a phrase. Love equals courage of conviction.
Those would be applicable. Courage would be an applicable word, yes. It involves risk, so it takes courage.
Yeah. You know, we have a tendency to be lengthy. This mechanism inside us takes directive and knows exactly what to do with it. So how did that feel, courage of conviction? Love now, to me now, love equals courage of conviction.
Courage of, I couldn't hear your last word.
Conviction.
I would go more now with spiritual growth since you're putting two words together, but you could say that.
Very good. So you go, to me now, love equals spiritual growth.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, John.
Hi. Love before was rejected and performance, and I don't measure up, and abandonment. And to me, love now equals acceptance. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, before ACA, it was very transactional, pain, bullshit, and games.
Yep.
And now it's completeness as a human being, kindness, nurturing, and friendship. So, yeah, and spiritual growth for sure. Thank you so much for this workshop. Yeah. Cheers. Thank you.
For me, let's see, let me grab that real quick. Love meant something's wrong with you. So to me, love now means something's right with me. But that's kind of long.
To me, worthy. How did that sound? Did I lose you? We're actually we're at time.